Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Today's class will be about an encouragement in the kind of territory that we have to travel to navigate the unknown, the uncharted and unknown territory of the transition and the shift. All of us will have challenges. I know last year was a struggle for many, including myself. I know that all of us are having ongoing issues that are not completely resolved. Maybe we have clarities about them. We have a sense of where we're going to go or what we're supposed to do, but that are not completely resolved. And because the landscape and the external events of the transit into the new earth keep changing, the challenges are mutating into sometimes secondary, tertiary, and so on, other challenges. And we have to constantly be able to have the agility to move and change and alter ourselves. But for that to happen, for us to be able to do this, we have to be so connected to our own intuition. We have to be so connected to our own social intelligence. We have to be so connected to our own spiritual intelligence. And we have to be listening in a way that is unlike any other than any other time. It is important for us to understand this, and I want to emphasize that state, which is the state of where you are in communication with yourself, because if you listen to the external only crisis in your life, whether it's health crisis, financial crisis, work-related crisis, family crisis, emotional family relation crisis, emotional crisis, death or grief, or loss of property, because there's a lot of people who are losing their stuff because of the climate change, all kind of loss, all kind of grief is going on. Whatever the external is, it is, and if you listen to it only, you're going to go into reactivity and survival. And if you do this, you remain stuck on the glue trap of the 3D. You're not going to move forward. Okay? The challenges are terrifying because they are triggers that are created to demonstrate to you the ephemeral nature of the 3D and what you thought were foundation and permanent landmark in your life. And they're gonna be shaken. And as they are being shaken, and as they begin to tremble or crumble or completely vanish, you're gonna have to learn how to become non-attached to possession or to things that exist in this world. Relationship, jobs, connections, and so on and so forth. You have to learn how to become non-attached. And I don't mean by that we have to, we're going to forego our survival instinct. If a storm is coming, you need to flee, you need to get out of the way. If a fire is coming or a flood is coming, you need to find safety. You need to do what you have to do to survive. But by the same token, the emotional disturbance that these events are going to create in you are going to be impactful in your body, in your emotional state. And you need to exist and you need to go internally to kind of figure out what kind of trigger did this unleash in me? What kind of emotion did all what kind of fear did this trigger in me? Or it could be panic, because fear can manifest in different ways. It could be you become depressed, which is you become lethargic, listless, you can't move, you can't walk out, you're completely paralyzed. Or it could be the opposite. You're overstimulated and you're running around trying to make decisions and trying to figure out what's right or what's wrong, and you're overstimulated and you're in panic. So one is manic, the other one is depressive. So and both of them could be happening in one day. One moment you're depressed, the next moment you're manic. And all of it being triggered by these events. And it's because you're reacting from the stimuli that you're perceiving in the 3D world. But we're smarter than that. We're way smarter than that. What we need to do is to sit down and go internal and take very deep breath and go within our own soul and sit with ourselves and listen. Listen to the trauma and the fear that's being triggered. Go deep within your soul, go deep within yourself, and let the trauma show up for you. And as you inhale deeply and slowly, you need to simply witness it. If it makes you feel depressed, or if it's making you feel panic, you simply need to witness it, sit with it, as if you're detached from it and you're just watching it, like you're watching a movie on the screen. Sit with it and watch it without making any decision. It may be like, I'm feeling blah, 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 I'm being triggered, I should be doing this, I should be, all these thoughts are flying into your head. Just witness the thought, witness what you're being triggered to act. You're being triggered to do this and run and flee and do that and yell and scream. And what happened to us in most instances for all of these tests, every one of us begin to feel victimized and how unfair it is that we're being treated this way. Whether it is because we're in altercation with somebody in our life, whether it is that some circumstances with institutions, government agencies, we feel we're being besieged by it, or whether it is that we have to flee from an experience because of catastrophic climate change events. We're all going to sit with this feeling of the unfairness and how we're being victimized by what it is that we're experiencing. All of us will cross that barrier during that transit. And it's for us to sit with that and begin to ask yourself, as you witness this, first of all, what is the belief system that's keeping me attached to this thing? Because if it's in a family dynamic or in a relationship, the only people that can hurt us, or the only thing that can hurt us, are the things that we attach to. If it's the money in the bank that you have that you're losing and you're attached to it, then that will be the problem for you. If it's a home and there's a catastrophic climate change, that will be the problem for you. If it is a relationship, an emotional relationship, and you attach, because if you don't have attachment, it can hurt you. I want you to think about what I'm saying, because it's the key to overcoming it. Overcoming the discomfort, the triggers, and that are happening. And the universe, once you overcome and you become non-attached, the universe has a way to make the external less, because what the universe is doing, it's creating a customized test for each one of us so that we can let go of our ego attempting to control everything that exists in the 3D. So as you're sitting or you're experiencing this, you need to begin to ask yourself, what are the beliefs that I have in my life that are keeping me attached to this? Whatever the experience may be. What are the belief systems that are keeping me attached? And whatever they may be, ask yourself as a next question, what is the need that I have that is not being fulfilled, that's triggering this reaction? What is the need? We talked about this last week, but this is a further expansion on that concept. It's important for us to understand that this is and that kind of inner conversation, that kind of inner dialogue it's a way for us, and the universe is really orchestrating this really beautifully externally on a global scale for the 8 billion people to learn how to let go of the attachments that they have to the external. And ultimately, the quicker we learn, because the moment you learn the lesson, the universe doesn't have to create the drama for you anymore. The drama is removed because you've learned your lesson. You understand what you're supposed to do. So what I'm suggesting is that you need to figure out exactly inside of you in that inner conversation, not only the false belief or the attachment to that to the trigger. What attachment to the trigger is causing this emotional reaction? And then beyond that point of the multiple thought, the panic, I should do this, I should strike, I should attack, I should fight, I should defend myself, I should do this, I should do. Beyond that point, go even deeper. And maybe some of the above all actions that you have to take in the real physical world, because in the case of your life being in danger, you have to flee or fight. In the case of you being in an environment where the landscape, there's a hurricane coming, there's a flood coming, there's a fire, you got to move, okay? But internally, how do you process the loss that is created by these things? And the grief that's happening inside of you because of them? What is the belief or the attachment, the emotional attachment that you have, and where, and as far as the emotional attachment is concerned, what is the emotional need of the loss that you're experiencing? What is the need that this loss is revealing to you? What need inside of you is not being fulfilled? And maybe in one instance, it could be its companionship or a sense of permanence. It could be all kinds of things that will show up for you. I was doing this thing this morning and somebody said, I discovered that I need safety. And maybe that's what it is for you as well. And when you get into that need and you discover it, it is important to realize that, okay, I'm not having that at this moment, but that's the need that my body needs. So how do I create that need now without having, because this crisis I'm having in my life is showing to me that I need to have this. Whatever that need is, I need to figure out a way to get it. I gave an example of a client that I was coaching that had a traumatic sexual abuse experience in his childhood. And this happened when he was very young, confronted the family. It was an elder, a grandfather that did this to him, confronted the family. The family is highly religious. This guy was an elder in the church. Nobody to date believes him in the family. It's a large family. No one believes him. They think he's fabricating, he's making all of this, and he's distraught. He's so heartbroken to the point now he has an incurable heart condition. And I was talking to him and I said to him, the need that you have, you want somebody in your family to believe you. Because they're making you feel like you're delusional and you're mentally ill. That's why you're making this thing up. You're making it up. This didn't happen. You want one person in your family to believe you. That's the need that your body has. But it is clear in the outside world that nobody in your family can provide you with this need. So what you need to do, you need to disconnect and stop expecting from them something that they can't. And they cannot do it because their paradigm and their belief system in the church that they go to, the Pentecostal church and everything that they go to will crash, will be destroyed. They can't do it. So you need now to connect to something else. Find a family of choice and invest that emotional need for approval into them, and let them give you the approval, and let them believe you when you said that you were abused. You see how nuanced the landscape is of what I'm talking about. That on the one hand, you have some external thing. In his case, it was this trauma, this PTSD thing that's created, that cost him years and years in therapy, right? And when he finally came to terms with it, he had blocked a lot of memory. When he finally came to terms with it, said it to the family is not believing. And to date, they're treating him like he's mentally ill. And you know that going forward, they will never. And he's like, I don't understand. They still don't believe me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, then they can't. They can't. What you need to do is that you have the emotional investment that you have in them and the expectation that you have they can't fulfill. Create a different structure. Find a family of choice, and then from there, let these people give you the emotional support that they cannot give to you. And watch the problem with your heart disappear. Because I'm still convinced, although there is something physically wrong with his heart, I'm still convinced that he healing can be found once you have achieved that kind of shift. I wanted to give you a concrete example to kind of illustrate to you how internally you navigate this kind of like emotional and psychological agility. How do you navigate so that you can move forward and you can create healing? And the best way to describe this, all of these external events, all of these things that are happening in the outside world that are big, that are creating crises for all of us, are actually revealing our own back doors, our own blind spots, and our own inner brokenness. Things we didn't know were there, okay? But that's not a bad thing. Instead of trying to sweep it under the rug and pretend it's not there and trying to only react externally to what we think is being triggered to us, we should spend an equal amount of time. You should react, of course, you're a human being externally, but we should spend an equal amount of time internally trying to figure out the dynamic that I'm just describing. And it's a very courageous act. So this class today is about courage. It's a very courageous thing to go into the space that's a minefield, that's very tender, and to sit with these feelings and these emotions. And it's very counterintuitive, and it requires a completely different muscle. It's as if we're going in there in a state of listening and witnessing the feelings and the emotions that we have within us, with the expectation, with an expectancy that God's spirit and the universe will give us a breakthrough. And it may not happen the first day you make contact with the emotion. It may happen not the third day, but at some point, there will be a breakthrough. You will realize what the need is. The reason you're connected, and this is really, and the louder, the more chaotic the event is, and the more it occupies your consciousness and your thought, and you're constantly going back to it, the more that it is a false belief, and the more that you should sit with it. Because if it's commanding so much of your psychic energy and your emotional energy, you should spend more time with it. Because Joseph Campbell has this beautiful quote. The cave that you are afraid to enter into holds the treasure that you're seeking. So the part that sets you in panic and that tells you, no, run, flee, no. If you sit with it, if you spend your time processing it, allowing yourself to sit next to it and listen to it, you will begin to hear and know and have an insight and a breakthrough of an inner knowing that will reveal a weakness in your spiritual psychology that you didn't see before. It will begin to reveal that in that brokenness, there is a deep, deep opportunity for that brokenness to become a doorway or a gate through which light can illuminate and transform and transmute your consciousness once and for all. I want you to think of the analogy of the words that I'm saying very carefully. That brokenness, that part that's sending you into panic and making you act emotionally unraveled and being hysterical, that brokenness is a doorway, it's a path. And if you can sit with it as a witness and listen to it and pay attention to it, slowly but gradually, a different view will be created for you. And you will realize not only the false belief that's causing you, the attachment, the emotional attachment that's causing you to be that panic because you think you're losing grip on whatever that false belief was, but more importantly, what emotional need that you have unfulfilled that created this false belief to begin with. And once you realize this, light will penetrate you to the deepest recess of your soul. The darkest place will be illuminated. And this is the way enlightenment and ascendance is created. It is not by imagining figures of light. It is not by covering it up with activation and sound healing or whatever, angel challenge, whatever it is that we all light workers love to do. The high energy stuff that make us feel all woo-woo. The landscape we're moving to, the woo-woo is not even 15% of the thing that we need to do. We need to spend more time internally in that space, exploring that landscape, flexing a different muscle, listening, paying attention, trying to figure out what is it exactly that the universe is trying to teach me through this experience. If I'm reacting that hard and I'm that emotionally distraught and I'm so angry and so upset and I'm about to lose it, and if it's toward a person, an institution, a situation, or I'm hysterical or crying because I'm lost this, that, or the other family member's friend, things of this life, if I'm that upset, then this is a doorway that if I sit with it and if I listen to it slowly and allow myself to go deep, I will realize there is a belief system that's connected to this. And the loss or the destruction or the attempt at it being unrooted is revealing to me a belief system. And if that belief system is being yanked out, I'm scared, I'm in panic, I'm nervous. But what is the need, the emotional need that created that belief system? What is it that this belief system in 3D world provided me with? What need is it trying to fulfill for me? And once you have realized the need, you will become very aware that, okay, the belief system I had that this was covering up, so the belief system is almost like the lid that's on top of the pot. What's inside the pot is the need. So if you realize all of a sudden that the lid is being taken away, and it appears that things are evaporating and things are moving from the pot, what you need to understand is that you have to create a different emotion. That need will still be there, but maybe that emotional, that belief system need to mutate into something else. It needs to find transcendence into a higher form. And it could be that it's connecting you to God, to the angels, to an ascended master, or to a larger community. It should be, or you need to become non-attached to this and realize the impermanence of things, that you were focusing too much on the external, and that, as Kuan Yin said in the Heart Sutra, form is emptiness and emptiness is formless. Any questions, any comments?
Pierre, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just checking. Sometimes I have sound issues with Zoom. I don't know if this might be off topic, but I was just wondering, the brokenness that you're talking about, is it the same as believing that I am broken? Or is it just, could be anything? The brokenness meaning some sort of trauma and in that kind of meaning.
What do you mean when you say I am broken? I'm not understanding what you mean. The difference.
Well, I guess is there such a thing that, there's this expression that I'm broken. I think in like light community, I think you hear that sometimes where people say I am broken, and I don't know if that's an actual belief that we might have.
I think the idea of being broken could be many things. For one thing, if someone is saying I'm broken, I think they are describing an emotional state where they have a pain or discomfort internally inside of them that makes them feel shattered.
Right. So that in that sense, when you describe the brokenness, it could be anything like that. It could be trauma, it could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be anything. And it's connected. And again, it's typically, it's a derivative of an external trigger. It's usually an external trigger that causes you to feel broken.
Can you elaborate a little bit?
In the case of what I just described, no one in his family believed that he was molested. So there was an external trigger.
Okay, so that made him feel like I'm not accepted or not. So
yeah, but while they keep saying that he's mentally ill.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Okay.
No,
okay.
his family point blank told him he's lying. This is not true.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So it's usually an external trigger that creates this. In the case, it could be that you lost a family member and you're grieving the loss. It could be that there is a natural thing that is happening and, you know, your property is damaged. It could be all kinds of things. It could be somebody in your life. You feel betrayed emotionally by someone.
Okay, so it could be another word, maybe it could be some sort of trauma, external trigger.
Yeah, it could be a word or an experience, an exchange you have with somebody where you feel attacked.
Right.
And whenever that happened, it registered in your emotional body very differently, internally, and it triggers something. What I'm saying is that you can react back by, if you feel attacked, you attack back, you defend yourself. Okay? Or, you know, or you become, and you could do this physically, but also internally have this dialogue to try to understand why it's important for you to defend yourself to this person. What value or what approval do you give this person so that they now have the power over you to trigger you this way?
Right. And it's often people of the lie, so you know they can't process it right now.
Yeah. And again, there are multiple reasons why people are where they are, and I'm not judging them in whatever way.
It's just,
you know, I'm too busy trying to clean my soul of these impurities, and in each hole, in each part of myself that's broken, I am trying to illuminate it. And I know what I'm saying sounds simple, but it's not simple. It may take you months to illuminate one of the parts.
Yes, absolutely. But because it's sometimes it's been buried for a very long time.
Yes, and not only that, but the emotion, the way it triggers your body, the PTSD, the panic and the trauma, the way you're reacting is so big and so overwhelming. Sometimes you have to sit with the feeling for months.
Oh, yeah.
Before your body can calm down enough for you to have the clarity to see the false belief and to find the need. And no one can do it for you. This is an internal process. And I've said this morning in the morning class. I'm going to say it now. You don't need my recordings when this about this, when this is happening. You need to sit in stillness, in silence, and in quiet with yourself. You don't need my recordings because this is an inner conversation and it has to be dynamically flowing with how you're feeling at the moment. This is you taking the training wheels off and learning how to ride the bicycle on your own.
Yeah, and sometimes there were times where I was feeling something but I didn't know. I couldn't tell what I was feeling. And it took me a while to figure that out.
Yeah.
And I used, there on the internet, there are charts where show you like certain emotions where they may show up in your body. And there's a whole chart that was helpful at first. And then as I was pursuing it over a long period of time, and I got to know how that feels, I was on the bus, and I overheard conversation, and somebody said the word, and it went to that place. And I connected the place with the word. And in this example, it was transference. So that was tricky. I mean, if you ask me, describe how transference feels, I'll be like, I don't know how to describe this to you. So it was tricky, but but it paid off.
Yep.
Because I got to know it so well, then somebody eventually, universe will orchestrate for you. And somebody said that word, and it went right there, and I knew immediately what it was. And it was like a downhill from there.
Yep.
Everything started flowing.
Thank you for using that example, Ursula, because it's pointing out to exactly what I'm talking about, which is, and it took you a long time to get to that from A to B.
Yeah.
And you have to be persistent, disciplined, and you have to keep going back trying to figure out what that feeling was.
Yeah.
So the point I'm saying is that I don't have a quick how-to give to you. I can only talk about this the way I'm talking about it now in the greatest detail and using as much example as possible, because your experience is going to be customized to where you are stuck emotionally. And everyone is stuck in a different location, in a different place, or because we're each unique manifestation of the divine. So what you're describing is specific to you. Someone else may experience something slightly different.
But it's, fairness, that's also emotional intelligence, because it's one thing to recognize the basic emotions, but this is just like kind of getting to know your body and how it feels on a little more sophisticated level, so it's like, it's like going to college. If you're going to go to graduate school, you're going to have to study a little harder.
Yeah.
But it's worth it, because once you get it, many things like suddenly unravel.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much that it was hard, it was required discipline.
Yeah.
To do it on a regular basis, more than being difficult, because we're supposed to just spend a certain amount of time on it.
Yeah.
But for sure. And so anything, I over time realized that the simple emotions was easier. I realized first chakra, second chakra, this or that, but then it got a little more sophisticated.
Yeah.
So also like using some sort of a chart, a reference chart is helpful too.
Yeah.
And I used that for a while.
Thank you, Ursula.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted just to say, I think the important point for me that of what you've been saying is it is the approval you give to the person you consider judging you. That is the key, because if that person, as in your example, is incapable of doing the right thing, then you need to withdraw your attachment, or that's not the word, your approval of them being in a position to judge you.
Yep.
That is, I think, in terms of finding a resolution to a problem that's will just continually perpetuate. You'll be in a dog chasing his tail syndrome until you stop and realize that what you're depending on is not in their capability.
Yep. Yep. And there are two things that are going on in this instance. For example, Janice. One is that many of us give family members and people who are emotionally important to us in that example the authority to censor.
That's it.
Okay. And when they don't, in an instant that it's something that's important and it's your truth. And even if he was, the experience that he had was nuanced, but this is his experience. You cannot deny him his experience. He felt violated. You cannot deny him this. To say that he's a liar, he's, you know, and it's completely wrong. And they are not stupid people. I know the family very well. But they are emotionally stuck in a religious belief that this elder in the church would never have done anything like this. And they can't see it. I cannot say that because I had experience in my own life when a family member of mine that was an elder in the church turned out many years later, we discovered that he was a pedophile. He was molesting young girls. It brought shame to the family and everything else, but that was a real discovery. And when we, vehemently, his own daughter attacked him because of this. Because the adoptive granddaughter that the daughter left with him, he molested. So some people can do the right thing, other people cannot. So what I can say to you is that, and the other part of this, Janice, is this. When something is happening to you, particularly if it's a human relationship, and you feel wronged, and because you feel wronged and victimized, you're attacking and you're judging. You will never find peace and resolution. What you need to do is that you need to get to a place where you discover the need that you had in that connection to this person, and how the violation of that need or the unfulfillment of that need is revealing to you a hole in your spiritual psychology and opening a gap, a brokenness.
I think that is a natural evolution there. The more problematic seems to me to be a case where a person accepts the verdict of the person unable to really be an authority and approval, and feels the shame and guilt for what must surely have been their fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's a harder transition, I think, to find.
Well, okay, I love what you're saying, because that brings me to the next point, which is when you discover the false belief. Let's say you put this person on a pedestal and you thought they was going to provide you with approval, with support, with safety, whatever it is that you wanted, and you realize that they can't provide it to you. What is the thing we do to ourselves? We attack the person first. I've character assassinate them to say that they can't provide us X, Y, Z. But the second thing we do, we now attack ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We attack ourselves for being stupid, for being gullible, for being blah, blah, blah. And we, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. And what you need to do first is actually to forgive yourself for being that human and that imperfect, for having put all your belief system in this expectation, and that no one on the planet can fulfill that expectation for you. that expectation, this is where the transcendence will occur. This is where real light will come in. Once you discover the need and you realize, well, this person is not capable, that person is emotionally not there, their development is arrested, they can't give it to me. Like this kid's family, my friend's family, they can't provide him with that information, with that kind of support. Not in this lifetime, they can't do it. And so expecting that from them is gonna and it is destroying his own heart. So you need to find transcendence. And the way you do this is that you need to take that need the same way Chiron asks Zeus for help. You need to provide to lift it somewhere else. Shift it, put that need somewhere else. Let something else give you the need that they cannot provide you. Because it's not your fault for having that need and being human. Every human being needs approval, needs support, needs love. Every human being on the planet needs it. And it is through the acknowledgement and the forgiveness to yourself for being human that your humanity, your divinity will grow. You need to acknowledge that you're imperfect. If you're grieving, if you're having a long time, because sometimes people keep thinking, it's been 3 years, it's been 4 years, it's been 10 years, I'm still grieving. What's wrong with me? There is no timeline in grief. Just because somebody else in your family seems to have moved on, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you if you're still grieving. So it's a question of allowing yourself the space to listen and witness without any judgment for the external event and the people connected to it, nor judgment against yourself. And if you can forgive yourself for all of, for your humanity, for your weakness, for your gullibility, if you can forgive yourself for all of that, then you will be able to find a path for transcendence, because you will accept yourself for being human and imperfect. And from there, light will begin to illuminate and give you the path to find the alternate where you can find permanent, real support for the need that you have.
Good, thank you.
I'm glad you brought this up, because that's a key point. That's an important point, because it's not just the external, but that we're judging, but we're going to judge ourselves too. And in fact, it may be easier for us to forgive others, and we may be harder on ourselves. We may be much harder on ourselves and not forgive ourselves for many moons, and saying that I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm Quasimodo. I have a big thing with Quasimodo since I was a kid. Again, because I was strange, I was unusual, and it's the plight of the gifted child. Alice Miller wrote this book on the drama of the gifted child. That's the center of my head. You're gifted, and in my gift, in all the unusual things that I was able to do, that I didn't look or act emotionally, process things the way anyone around me did, or my peers, or my brother, anybody around me was not like me. And because of this oddity in me, I thought, when I read Alexandre Dumas, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, I thought I was Quasimodo. That character destroyed me. I cry because I saw myself as the hunchback. I don't see it the same way now, but I'm saying that was my process. Because when you're growing up in an environment where, because you're this or that or the other, you're being ridiculed, you're being bullied, people are making fun of you because, and all of the above, and I'm internal, I like books, I'm very quiet, I'm always on the back wall, because I was listening and processing other things that people were not seeing or not perceiving. I'm not great at sport. I'm not interested in this. I love to explore and climb mountain and do all kind of crazy stuff, jump from roof to roof. But in terms of team sport, I'm not interested. That never interests me. If I can go in nature and walk for hours, yes. So that experience of Quasimodo, or that part of me, there's a small part of him that still exists in me. I'm working on it, but I'm acknowledging completely, and I'm forgiving myself for having created a connection to it. I'm accepting that it exists in me. I'm accepting the fact that I'm not like anyone else. I'm a unique manifestation of the divine, with its good and with its perception of distortion. And again, I'm saying perception because it's not real distortion. And whatever is led when you're in that state gets transformed into gold, and it begins to shine. Every brokenness, like this experience of feeling like Quasimodo, that brokenness inside of me is a doorway through which, if you really get it illumined and you're examining it the right way, the way we just talked about, suddenly it will illuminate light and it will begin your ascendance and your elevation. So how we process these, how we acknowledge this becomes key for us to, again, it's courageous work. It's work of bravery. It's the final frontiers. It's not external exploration into space, but it's internal exploration into inner space of our own psyche, of our own, the depth of our own consciousness. And when we can go deep in that space, we mend all of the gaps, all of the openings. More importantly, we begin to radiate inner light. We begin to radiate inner strength. We begin to create such incredible strive toward true healing. Because a lot of this other stuff, again, and there's nothing wrong with desiring to have a channel or somebody coming in and giving us guidance or an activation that will take us into higher consciousness and all that. All of them are great, but equally important for what the transits we're going through right now, we need to spend more time in this internal evaluation process of examining all of the depth, all of the inner stuff that are deep within ourselves, so that we can begin to discover the pocket of the gifts that these broken parts of ourselves are holding for us. Any other questions or comments? Again, act of courage. I'm thinking of a conversation I had with one of my students about this, and she was saying that the way she understands it is that when she goes on conversation in the stillness and the silence, she sits and she begins to listen to herself and listen to what's happening in her body. And then as she listens very gradually and carefully, there is an expectation on her part that somehow that unknown territory that she's traveling to, that inner space she's moving into, is going to illuminate her and bring her some information that she was blinded to from before. I'm thinking about Star Trek when the episode begins. These are the voyagers of the Star Trek Enterprise. It's to travel to unknown territory, to boldly go where no man had gone before. This is the same thing that you're doing, except it's internal to yourself. You're sitting in stillness and you're dealing with feelings and emotion that may feel turbulent, may feel agitating, may feel uncomfortable. But when you sit with them and you simply witness them and you listen to them, you allow them to unpack. And when they nod out, suddenly something else is revealed to you about the need that created them. And from that need, you can begin to find a path toward a transcendental way to fulfill that need that does not involve the external 3D. And once that occurs, you have deep healing, you have now illuminated. You plug, first of all, you mend and plug a back door, a blind spot, but more to the point, you not only plugged it, you illuminated it. You planted in it a beacon of light, because now you gave it a path toward transcendence, toward illumination. You connected it to something much bigger that will suddenly allow it to expand and grow. And no matter what the need is, even if it feels like it's stupid, it's trivial, I am too old for wanting this and needing that, blah, blah, blah. Don't discount your humanity. If you have to be so honest with yourself. If you have an emotional need and the need shows up, that's the need that your body wants. Now ask spirit while you're having this inner conversation for a way for this need not to be fulfilled by the 3D thing that's going to disappoint you, but for that need to be fulfilled by something transcendental, something permanent, or something that's worthy of it. And it doesn't have to be God per se. It could be God, it could be the masters, it could be Mother Mary, Kuan Yin, it could be all of that. But sometimes it's for you to have better discernment in bringing someone else that's available, that's present, or that's on your level. And once you're aware of this, it will help you find the healing. Maybe you're focusing on the wrong thing or the wrong environment. And again, I have so many of my friends, because of the way, since 2020, that have moved. Because again, they felt energetically wherever they were, whatever grid that they were not safe. And when they sat through the conversation, the inner conversation I'm talking about, they got guidance that they should not be in where they are, and they moved. Each of us are individuals, and we have to follow our own guidance. Till that guidance comes to me, I'm not moving. But many of my friends have, again, when that need shows up, if you feel unsafe where you are and you have a need to find safety, and it feels the energy in whatever city that you're in feels too agitating and too disturbing, and you can find safety, you have a sense of safety somewhere else, then do what you need to do. This is physical, emotional, and spiritual agility. Don't suppress these needs because you think I'm at an age. Why would I want to move? Everything's comfortable here, blah, blah, blah. And it could be that there is a natural disaster that happened. The move, the need for you to move and feeling unsafe was God trying to tell you that if you stay here, something may happen. Everybody may survive, but you might be in danger. So you need to leave. So listen. Listen as if every cell in your body had ears. Listen. Pay attention. Expect when you're in that state of listening for the universe. And this is not hearing. Everybody on the planet hear, but very few people listen. When you're listening, you're so surrendered into what's coming that the neuron, the mirror neuron that are in your head are connected to everything that's happening around you, and you're listening to all of it. You're not scanning, because scanning is to do the same thing, but except you're tactically trying to retrieve information for you to have an upper hand so that you can survive. You're not scanning. You're just listening. It's simply a state of deeper inner communication on a quantum level, where you're allowing yourself to sense and feel what's around you, without attachment, without judgment, without an agenda connected to it. You're neutral while you're listening. Whereas when you're scanning, you're not neutral. And once you are in that state, and you acquire some insight, the insight says, do this X, Y, Z. When I'm in the state where I'm listening, I'm in morphogenic listening. When I get an insight to do X, Y, Z, immediately as I get up, I do it immediately. If it's to send an email, the email goes out. If it's to send a text, the text goes out. If it's to call somebody, I call the person immediately. Because when you get the communication from the blessed field that connects, that brings the information with you, it comes with such complete omniscience, or such a complete knowing, that you know this is your truth at the moment and you need to act on it. Any questions, any comments? All right, let us take a 5-minute break and then we'll do a long closing meditation. Let's take a water break and then we'll do a closing meditation, 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. Take a very deep breath and let your entire awareness be focused in your upper chest, as if you were looking at the world from that location in your body. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Realize that you can perceive 360 degrees. And notice what you noticed. what sensations perceptions and knowing may exist all around you. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And listen. Listen to the entire morphogenic field and everything around you. Be a witness by simply, with neutrality, hear, feel, and understand. Everything that's in you and into the deepest recess of your soul. Listen. As if the more than 50 trillion cells in your body had ears. Become aware of any brokenness, discomfort, or panic. That may show up for you. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. and without judgments. Notice what you noticed. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And listen. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Relax. And let the emotional charge that exists in that space unknot and open up. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. What insights truth or false belief may exist in this discomfort? Keep breathing deeply and slowly. Notice what you noticed. What informations about yourself and your vulnerability is this illuminating for you? Keep breathing deeply and slowly. What emotional need is motivating this discomfort, this brokenness? in this need, in this emotional need, may I find the path of transcendence, permanent support, and an elevation into non-attachment, by acknowledging my humanity, my weakness, my imperfection, and letting God and the Holy Assembly touch me and transmute this need into a higher calling. May my brokenness become a doorway for my elevation and transmutation into a pillar of light. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Thank you for the blessings. I accept the gifts and I receive with gratitude. Take a very deep and slow breath. And when you feel ready, you may open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. That was deep. I could linger even longer, and so I will after we finish.
You're welcome, Janice. Any other comments or questions that you may have? I want to thank everyone for listening to me tonight. I hope I laid out for you a path that will provide you a better insight on how to communicate and how to use this muscle, because we may feel a certain way about what the obstacles that are in front of us, but if we don't have the actual insight on how to process it, we're going to have a very difficult time. I want to thank everyone who's listening to me on Patreon. Thank you for your support. To all of you on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it, and leave your comments below and let me know what you're thinking. If this has been helpful for you, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone. Blessings to all of you.
Good night. Thank you, Pierre.
Good night. Thank you.